time to rejoin the conversation. Okay, we are back, and okay, here we go. Party politics. Hurricane. So, at this point, we've had 3 touch.
Yeah, Harvey.
Did Jose hit land this weekend?
Jose created surf.
Well, they thought it was going to turn into a hurricane, but it didn't.
It stayed as a tropical.
Jose was nothing.
Okay.
So we've had Harvey,
and then Irma,
And Maria.
and then Maria.
And we got one more.
And now we had Nate, which was down. Believe me, down south, Nate comes through and people don't even. That's nothing.
Oh,
That's the
which
one.
one?
that was the one that was a tropical storm.
That's one we just.
Oh,
the
okay.
cat one.
That was Nate.
Yeah, that was a cat one when it came on. They had their coastal flooding, but that happens all the time down south. This is people down there. That's the term.
I think what made it bad though was that it was somewhere around the same area that has just been devastated by hurricanes.
somewhat.
Literally just to the
But
east.
those type of hurricanes they have are the ones that have the hurricane parties. So it's kind of like we ain't evacuating, so let's drink. And I went through a couple hurricane parties while I lived down there.
Okay.
It's just a good chance to get drunk and have fun.
Yeah.
Hope the power doesn't go out.
Do you still know a lot of people down there?
Sure.
Anybody that got affected?
Yeah, I know some people had a little bit of flooding and stuff, but
Yeah.
down in Buras.
Yeah.
But all their houses are built up on stilts.
Okay.
These people down there, this is how the life goes. Everything down there is just, you're going to have generally these category 1, category 2 hurricanes that form in the Gulf. Generally ones that form in the Gulf don't get big. It's the ones that come out of the Caribbean and enter the Gulf, like Katrina.
Right.
Those are the ones that they've gotten all their power, they got big out in the Atlantic, and then they come in. But the ones that form down around Mexico and the Yucatan and come up, they're just storms.
Well, it's also if they can avoid hitting too much land in between them hitting you, because the land breaks them up. But then they reform. A lot of times they get stronger after that, and that's a mess. That's when you can get in some serious trouble.
So you have these hurricanes. It's just that's part of life down there.
Yeah.
That's just it's they're coming. You're going to get them every once in a while. You got to be the folks down there are prepared for them. They don't even hardly take them seriously. I mean, they take them unless they're big. If you get a Katrina,
I think that's part of the
problem. If you get a Katrina
though.
down there or something like that come through, or an Irma or something, they know to get the hell out.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, when I lived in Florida, everybody goes, "Why the hell do these people live?" Well, because that's the fastest way to get your shit robbed. When you go back and you have nothing left, and it wasn't because the hurricane got you.
They will rob you.
Yeah, happens all the time, constantly when I was down there. It's nuts.
I know you still got people down.
Yeah.
People outside.
Family, they got power and stuff now. Everybody's getting back on their feet. I come from a big trailer park area, so that was the worst part.
Okay.
A lot of those and trees being uprooted. So
Okay.
Trailer parks down there are like they are up here. Up here, there's tornado banknotes, and down there they get flooded.
yeah.
Because they're built down in lower areas, right?
Well, also
They're built in the cheapest piece of land.
They're not rooted in anything.
It's still on top of the cinder blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tied to the cinder blocks. So
The
it's-
you have to understand down there, the people that flood are the poorer people that have houses built down in the lowlands.
Yeah.
Now Harvey was a different deal.
Yeah.
But Houston, let's understand this about Houston and Beaumont and those areas. Because I live north of Beaumont too. In fact, that sheriff that beat my ass, I hope his house got flooded in Coons. I remember him. I was looking at Coons. I said, I hope his house is underwater, that old fucker. But anyway, that was extreme, of course, but they always have flooding. If they get a storm that comes in and sits on them, or they get heavy rain. I remember living north of Beaumont, and we got like a thunderstorm that dropped like 15 inches on us. It was just thunderstorm, just parked over us, big thunderstorm complex. And I didn't even live no there was no stream, no river or nothing.
Right.
And I had 2 foot of water flowing underneath my trailer. Because the land is flat.
Well, and it's dry.
Well, didn't they say
so it can't even
Houston
absorb
was
into the
the?
water.
And it just flows under you and then it goes away. Now we did have a river between where I lived in Beaumont, and we went down and sandbagged. So if you're trying to save properties, and that's what you do. You can't work, you can't get to anything.
Right.
In fact, by the time I was able to get to where I worked, they loaded us up in a dump truck and drove us out through the flood water, and we got to, it was a steel fabrication plant I worked at.
It's strange. One of the benefits of living in Florida was that the land was never just super dry. You know, in Texas, a lot of times when that rain comes through, it's just falling on cement, basically, because it's just.
Well, they said
And it's all
Houston.
sand, it's all sand.
Yeah.
They said Houston was the perfect example of urban sprawl because you look at pictures from just a few years ago and it was all trees and it's all gone. So now it is all cement
It was
and
sprawl
there's
when
no
I
place
was
for it
there.
to
I can't
go.
imagine what it is
Yeah.
now. It had to be.
But if you look
Twice,
at
3 times of what
if
it
you look
is.
at older pictures, it had land to soak into and now it doesn't.
What's the 3rd or 4th largest city in the United States now? It's in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just.
And you know,
But you're right.
Florida is getting worse because
well, in
the
my
sea levels are rising.
warming.
I'm not going to
Well,
say
you got-
global warming. I don't want to get into
the
that
problem
argument.
you have too is that we have an increase in population. And population is steadily increasing. So more and more people move into areas.
Well, they do and they don't.
Florida's
But,
warm, so people move out of the north. and
but
they
the
move
places
down
that
there.
it's flooding the worst, it's not new development. They're closer to sea level than they ever have been. Their sewers are underwater all the time. They're constantly pumping water out of the city, and it's still not. You're still walking around in ankle deep water.
And think about if something like when we have super heavy rains here.
Yeah.
We have a sewer system that was built in the early 1900s that is completely incapable of handling that volume of water.
Well, but if you notice, we have more water main breaks though in the summer when it's super dry, and the ground moves away from the pipes. So
There's
then
also
you
not a lot
have
of flash flood.
yes.
Sure,
But let me bring up something about Knowles, which you were just now.
A little more.
You realize after Katrina, we had billions and billions and billions of dollars got sent down into that area. And I guarantee you, millions of dollars went into people's pockets.
Sure.
No doubt.
They got pumps all around that city, okay, to pump the water out. And we used to get big thunderstorms and flood. It didn't have to be a tropical storm. There is, in my opinion, no reason at all why all those pumps aren't entirely functional at all times.
That wasn't.
And
the
they're
biggest
not.
problem. That wasn't the.
And
biggest
to me, that's unconscionable.
I agree. The biggest
think
problem
it
is
was
that if you
multiple
go back,
things.
If you go back to the Carter administration in the 70s, everybody knew it was a matter of time before a Katrina-style storm hit.
Absolutely.
And the levees were not nearly tall enough or strong enough to withstand that water. And for 30 plus years, they did nothing about it.
They did not a
And
damn thing.
This would be my biggest problem.
But they got money to do it, but they didn't spend it on it.
We had Republican presidents, we had Democratic presidents, we had everybody in between. You know, you're literally looking at 25 plus years since they first reported as an issue. Nobody spent the preemptive money to not cause a national catastrophe. And so
Bingo. And that's my point. And if you understand Nolans, and how Nolans is that is one very corrupt place.
It is, but where the levee was, it was protecting people who literally live under sea level. So you know that if anything happens to that levee, you are screwed. You are literally going to kill thousands of people at that point, hundreds if not thousands. You know.
But if the pumps work, you can suck a lot of water out of Nolans.
But the levee being the problem, it was the levee breach.
The levee breach is the problem. If the levee breach is your screw.
I mean, even if you take Katrina out of it, well, really you can't.
You can't.
Because I mean,
It's impossible.
it's too much
Yeah.
water.
I mean, I think
you look at the way you have. I mean, if you just go straight up the United States, you have areas above that get wildfires that ruin the land.
Well,
Then you have tons of snow that comes down. I mean, it's just a constant, and you've got that battering against the end of the United States, and all they have is one wall.
Well,
to
no,
take.
there's several levies.
No,
But I mean,
it's not just one.
there's several levies on it.
You've seen levees and canals all over. You would just come back, right?
Right.
And you've seen canals all over the place down there, right?
Sure.
You've seen big levees along the river, and the Army Corps
Well, and
engineers.
Tell me about the corruption. I want to hear about that. Where's
Well,
That's a whole nother podcast.
It's
one we
a
probably
long
have.
topic, but
Yeah, that's a serious. Matter of fact, you know what? We will do a podcast, and
I'll do
I
a
want to
little
do it
research.
soon
I got
too.
names.
I want to do it soon too.
We don't need to name
if
names.
we don't get within the next few weeks, if we get a week where we haven't had two dumb things happen in our government, I want to talk about local governmental corruption, because that is really a big reasoning behind a lot of what happens in a lot of cities.
Well, we have here in Kansas City.
Yeah, I think from New Orleans, Kansas City. I'm from Chicago.
As a contractor, I've dealt with it.
Listen,
Yeah.
on a local level, it doesn't really matter. A very short answer to your question is the way that FEMA works. FEMA cannot, by law, go into an area unless they have specifically been requested by the state to enter. So basically,
And doesn't
the
the
mayor of a city has to
president have to
request from the
approve
state
it?
government to call in FEMA, and then the governor has to call in FEMA. This is a federal law that is designed, because we're such a state-heavy government,
Yes.
that everybody's always afraid of the federal government coming in and taking over, just like the origins of our country, where they're always afraid.
Until
of
they
big
say, why
federalism."
didn't the government come and
And
help?
then people get pissed
Just
off at
always
FEMA
the
for not
feds.
responding.
A lot of times
back.
Right, they say, yeah, but the governor never
The
asked for
governor never
FEMA help.
requested for the aid.
And then, yeah.
That was the biggest problem with Katrina, is they just never requested.
yeah. Okay,
And
so
by the time that they did,
Long
it
story
was too
short,
late.
but I would say the worst
Well, right
one
now,
I've ever seen in my
for a
life,
reason.
and the one that deserves to be talked about that we haven't even touched on yet, is Puerto Rico, which is
Well,
3.5
that's down.
million.
which is why I want to move forward,
Sure.
because
That's destruction like I've never seen in my life.
so actually let's
You don't think?
No, there was
97%
that
of an island?
typhoon that went through. I mean, maybe on American soil.
yeah.
These are Americans.
Yeah,
Right, maybe
that's
I'm
enough.
saying maybe on American soil, but that's not the worst disaster like that.
97% of an island is now uninhabitable. And,
Yeah,
and we're
no,
bragging
it
about
has-
the fact
it
that
has
they
no
can now
power.
land 18 flights
I'll
a
tell
day,
you what
and
really-
we can't even get them water.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what
Come
really
on.
bugged me was I saw, we were watching Good Morning America this morning, and they were talking about how aid workers were trying to make sure that people knew Houston still needed help, because there were still people that had water in their homes, and I'm like, are you serious?
Dude, Houston's got a 7-Eleven, and they
Yeah.
can go get it.
I'm like, these people probably have a dry place to go.
Yeah.
They're not dead. They're
Puerto
not
Rico
living
is an island
in
surrounded
waist
by
deep water.
Very big water.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, not that that isn't a true statement, but I'm like, are you seriously thinking anybody forgot about Houston?
God.
There's a worse crisis going on.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, on a bright note, I'm very encouraged to see the actual 5 responsible living presidents.
I was
get
telling
together
Mario about
and
that.
Try to unite for this.
Yeah, I was telling Mario about that.
This is when you actually recognize the power of the presidency and the good it can do. And it's cool to see
What's
these
the name
5
of
guys
this,
come together and do it. I can't remember. what the name of it
America,
is.
The
Peace for-
concert for One America.
yeah,
Yeah,
for One
yeah,
America, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of shit.
Did you hear about
absolutely
that?
don't wanna see.
Yeah, but-
aside from
So both Bushes, Carter,
Clinton.
and Obama
Yeah.
are all they're going down to Texas, and they are going to be there and do a concert for all of the hurricane victims.
Although I have a really hard
But
time
it's-
seeing Obama like, oh, these country acts are really great.
I'm sure he can
really want to see
appreciate
Alabama.
music for music, but it's called for One America.
It's a pretty cool thing. And this is the week, they announced it the week after the presidential golf tournament.
Yes.
Where they also donated all
They
that
were
money.
talking about it on Friday.
Plus-
But this has always been our country, is that when bad stuff happens to us, the political party lines don't matter.
But
you will
they
find
don't
that
matter
Mm-hmm.
it's the
to
local
us.
people, it's also the local churches, the local religious affiliations, and all kinds of folks will come together and make things happen.
Oh,
Well, there was-
people are doing their own.
And that's what it takes when you have disasters, is that if you're going to sit on your ass and think that the federal government's going to come and save your ass, you're going to sit on your ass for a long time.
Well, you can't have
Because
it both
you can't
ways.
sit on your ass. You have to get out there, be active, do everything you can. The Cajun Navy, man. I mean, I just love the Cajun Navy.
But I thought one of the most
Because
inspiring
these are what the people is, and at that time, politics, race, nothing matters. All that matters is people.
There was the Muslim church in Houston that during the middle of a Muslim holiday opened their doors to anybody and everybody that would come in, despite the fact that this was a holiday for
I know,
them.
that was
such a
at the
great
same
story. 900 people in
time.
there.
So they had that story, and then right after that was the whole Joel Osteen story. So that one got kind of pushed aside to this whole bigger thing, and I'm like, that's an important thing for people to know about.
I agree.
That
Absolutely.
just because you're Muslim doesn't mean you're a terrorist.
That's like Christmas
know?
in the middle of
They don't
Christmas.
care what religious affiliation.
This has been a disaster. It doesn't matter
But
what
I
it
can
is right
almost
now.
guarantee you that there are people down there that don't like Muslims, but walked right into that place and stayed there.
900
Why wouldn't
of
they?
them.
Yeah.
Well, and
But
I guess that is the point.
I hope that made them understand that there wasn't a reason to
I don't
hate
think that
Muslims.
had anything to do with them trying to understand the religion.
I think it has a lot
I
to do with
think
the
it's just
narrative
people
of
helping
society.
Yes.
Has a lot to do with the narrative of society, and I thought it was a very cool moment that I wish had gotten a lot more publicity.
Why wouldn't they open their mosque just like any other church would open up their church or something
The
like
point
that?
is that there's a lot of people who think that they would not. And
I think that's a small minority of people, in my opinion.
It's a very loud minority of people then.
Well, but they're still, once
Yeah.
again, they're the minority of people. The
I hope so.
The
I do
majority
too.
of people are going to rise to the occasion because we are Americans, and this is what we do.
Well, this church absolutely rose to the occasion, and I wish they had gotten more publicity
Yeah.
for it.
But
So,
yes,
the
Puerto
media's going to
Rico.
love that.
Let's
They're gonna-
move. Let's
they're gonna
move.
be all over
Let's
that.
roll. Let's roll it forward. Let's roll it forward because I actually would like to spend more time on just the hurricane piece, but there's been so many things that's happened in the last couple of weeks, so we've got to get to the Vegas shootings and I also want to kind of get to Trump's response to the varying tragedies because they've all been slightly different.
He responded?
Well, I mean, he went to Houston and
And the first lady.
yeah, absolutely.
They made fun of her shoes. Come on, give me a break.
Well, she probably shouldn't try to have on high heels in the floodplain
She didn't have them when she got there. She had them on when she got off the plane.
Well, I understand that. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
I'm kind of with Dave on this one though. Like he
I
really
wasn't
gives
mad at
a
her.
rat's ass what she
Is that
was
all
wearing.
you got?
I wasn't mad.
I mean,
wasn't
you
mad
don't
at
know
her.
what she's capable. Maybe she could walk in mud and heels. Who knows?
When she went to
Which
Puerto
one would
Rico,
do
she
dresses?
actually wore boots, and then they started getting on her for wearing sunglasses. I'm like, come on.
You know,
been to Puerto
believe me,
Rico.
my
it's
life
like-
is-
it's
right,
like-
Puerto Rico, yeah.
I wear sunglasses too.
Yeah, so no, I wasn't upset at the fact. I was actually. Oh wait, hold on one second. I'm right here out there in podcast land. I'm about to take a drink of water
If I was as good looking as her, it would be everywhere I went.
because this is because I was going to choke myself on what I was going to say. Actually, I was reasonably proud of Trump in how quickly he responded and went to the cities that were affected and. Then, of course, I was less impressed with how long it took him to get to Puerto Rico and
2
all
weeks.
of the tweets, at the mayor of San Juan that were just unnecessary. Trump and his problem with assertive women, that's a whole nother show because that
Don't
is,
even get me started.
yeah, that's just amazing to me. But let's for a second talk about the Vegas shooting. One of the reasons I want to talk about the Vegas shooting is one, it is in modern times, and I do want to preface it by saying in modern times, the worst mass casualties we've seen, and two, because the only place that the Loft Party Podcast has done remote shows from has been Vegas twice. So we have some love and some history for Vegas. So we want to, send them all love and prayers. And what leads someone to just unload round after round after round into a crowd at a music concert? You know, it's hard to wrap my brain around. One, being a fan of music, not wanting to be afraid to go to an outdoor venue. But when I think about, like, even in Chicago, which was actually on his target list. Yeah, so he was thinking about getting
also Boston.
Yeah. I didn't hear he had actually.
Oh, he's looking at Boston too.
And didn't show up.
Chicago and Boston.
So it would have had to have been Lollapalooza.
It was.
And because I'm thinking about places that have mass outdoor people and hotel room line of sight. That's Lollapalooza. That's one of the biggest music festivals in the country. And I'm just thinking how many people he could have killed because that many people, you can't disperse that quickly.
Well, he was looking at Boston and Fenway Park too.
Yeah, also, like I said, but
because I've stayed in a hotel outside of, you can see Fenway from the hotel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you can do the same thing.
So it's just trying to wrap my brain around what goes left in somebody's brain.
A sociopath of extreme measure.
Well, it's kind of amazing because he has no history up until this point, and usually the profile, guys who do this aren't older than me. Really, they're 45 and younger, and this dude's 60 something and
64 years old.
Yeah, and
no financial problems at all.
Yeah.
No weird affiliations that they
and that's
sometimes I've heard so many people going, "Hey, what was his mother was saying?" Sometimes crazy is just crazy.
So you're right.
I mean, I don't think there is.
His father was on the top 10 list for FBI as a bank robber.
But he never knew his dad.
And he never knew him because he got thrown in jail.
And then escaped.
But it makes me wonder a little bit about some genetics here.
This is my point. Sometimes I think crazy is just crazy.
It's just crazy.
And there probably is no reason.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you just
very
get
possible.
dissatisfied
because
with your life.
They can't find anything about this dude that would leave him.
Although the feds did execute another search warrant on his home today.
And his brother was there over the weekend talking to the cops. I know that too.
So they're still.
And then that crazy girl that he was with.
Yeah, but they talked to a girl, he owned property in Texas, and she was friends with him, and she could barely even talk on TV this morning, and I'm like, oh, so you just have crazy friends too? She was in the middle of I shouldn't say that. She was upset about somebody she cared about, but I'm like, not the same thing. But I go back to how the women in Ted Bundy's life who were shocked beyond belief that he was a serial killer because he was just so normal. I'm like, people can be normal to people they like all day long.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
But what makes you click like that?
Yeah,
How do you go from normal to just?
But it wasn't recent. He was stockpiling. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. How do you not see that though?
33 of the weapons that he had with him were purchased from October of 2016 until now.
You say that, but husbands and wives, you can live with somebody for years and they can hide stuff from you.
There's that. I also think, listen, this is a Filipino woman, who...
Because you married my wife.
Was probably a little... subservient to some degree, there's cultural differences.
Well, she said, if he told me not to go in there, so I didn't go in there. And I'm like,
That's what I mean by the cultural
Yeah,
side
people
of it.
don't realize that
Yeah,
when
okay.
you're, yes.
I'm curious as a military, what about the weapons and what? Because you must have seen some of them, and especially with your training and everything.
Yeah.
I was blown away by the number of shots he was able to get off, bump stock or not, whatever they call it. How powerful was that?
Dude, it can rip a head off, it can rip an arm off. I mean, you're talking about a guy who really invested a lot.
Well,
and that's what I
so
said.
this
A
morning,
lot of money.
this morning they were talking about, I don't remember if they said he had a notebook or a piece of paper, but it had trajectory,
with just numbers?
wind,
Yeah.
all of that. Like he had it all in the room with him.
We do that when we do long range shooting at the range. When we have a 300-yard target. And we got our long distance shooting is 500. So you know your ballistics. You know that round is going to travel so far, and we call that the zero out, right? You've experienced. So you zero out at a certain, and then after that distance, that bolt's supposed to fall that far, and then you throw windage into it. And any armory sniper, I mean, that's what they shoot these 50 cals, just unbelievable. They can hit you a mile away, but they got a spotter and all this stuff, and then where they can do this, all that ballistics and all this stuff is there. This is a well categorized fact.
I've got a question. Well, I've been hearing that there were reports of shots fired on the ground within the actual concert.
I think they disagree with it. They thought there was a second shooter on the 4th floor at one point, and that turned out to be a false story.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. The number
most
of
ricochets.
guns, the number of rounds that he had, extra clips, and he had 100-round mags. Like I was just amazed.
What are those things called?
These are drums. He's shooting out of a drum.
No, but what are they
The
called?
bump stock.
So they were talking about how Congress didn't even know those things existed.
Well, they did because Dianne Feinstein actually tried to pass a bill in 2014.
Yeah, they were like, we
to
didn't even
outlaw
know that those were possible, and we're very willing to talk about gun reform. I'm like,
Yeah,
please.
you're willing to talk about bump stop reform.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to stop somebody from having 30 assault rifles.
Until you
That's
find
the problem.
in an alley in Chicago, middle of nowhere.
Man.
I mean, I find it stunning that you can sell a product that if you use automatically turns the gun into an illegal weapon by just virtue of the fact that you've applied it on there. You can sell the product legally, you just actually can't use it.
Well, yeah, and they said,
Right,
you
exactly.
can't buy them
It's
at
so
the
bizarre.
same time from the same place.
Yeah,
which
but
is
it's like
stupid.
$40.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the fact that you could buy it
Yeah.
and to turn a gun into an illegal weapon, I'm like, that's a problem. That shouldn't even be allowed.
Well, you only buy a gun for one particular use.
Well, and you know they said the stock in
why you buy
those
it.
devices
That's kinda my
went
point. You
up,
buy
and
guns
they
to
were
shoot guns.
flying off the shelves because people were so worried about them being banned, and I'm like, oh my God, that is just so stupid. Like, if they're talking about banning them, you should stop sales on them immediately.
Well, let's go back a little. You realize the ATF in Obama's administration, I'm saying it has anything to do with Obama, are the ones that said bump stocks are okay.
Yeah, I'm
So, you know,
pretty sure it wasn't him.
Well,
but
I didn't
yeah.
say it was him, but it was during his administration. So
Yeah.
here's another issue that bothers me. This is the one that really gets me. I kind of feel, and this is going to be a little controversial, I kind of feel like we have lost some of our morality. That where we don't have as many people to go to church anymore. We don't have people who think in a more moral situation or a more moral thought that they can let. I don't think there's a human being on earth that sometimes doesn't have a dark thought. And you have a dark thought and you go, whoa, 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 where the hell did that come from? But if you lack some morality, you lack our right and our wrong. And I think it comes from when we were young and how we were taught that you can let that dark thought permeate in your brain until you become this sociopath that can bust out a window with a hammer and shoot that many people. You know, there are people in the world that are going this direction, and I find it bothersome, and I find it a little bit of our getting away from God. And, you know, I know some people are atheists and things like that, but as an older person who was raised in a church and still has faith and understands these things, it is deeply troubling to me that I think we've lost some of this morality in our society.
I will throw it as an atheist. One, I don't believe it has anything to do with the shooting. Secondly, I know a lot of weirdo churchgoers who have shot up a lot of places.
But they got dark. But they got dark too.
Yeah, I'm just saying
were they really people that have the morality?
I feel like I have humanity. You know,
I think for
Dave,
Dave, his morality and his faith go hand in hand. I don't think you have to have both of them together. I think that there are plenty of people that wouldn't go out and commit
They can be
that
atheists
type
and
of
still
crime,
be a very moral person.
Right.
I won't disagree
But
with you.
what does
on that.
morals have to do with you buying an assault rifle? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't disagree with your foundation of your beliefs, but I'm saying if you have morality or immorality, I mean, we all know we all are born with the distinct difference between right and
You
wrong.
can go either way.
Right. So if you buy an assault rifle, you're not buying it to shoot a deer. I mean, you're not doing it for deer.
Well, you know, I think that was when I remember a couple years ago when we first started having all of the talk about, you know, AR-15s.
It was after Sandy
you
Hook.
know, and I remember people say, "Oh, well, I hunt with an AR-15," and I'm like, what fucking deer are you shooting?
That's a gorilla.
That you need an
That's a
AR-15.
gorilla.
I shot an antelope with an AR-15.
Jurassic.
It is not. It is not.
They're very accurate.
Well, it's
They're
not
very
that.
accurate guns.
Well, my thing is, okay. My thought of hunting is you, the quiet, a rifle, one clean good shot. That to me is sporting. Like a semi-automatic weapon is like no. I just wanted to kill something.
You want a paint party?
Yeah, like, and I'm like, and I don't understand. I don't understand.
I shoot a bolt action rifle when I hunt. I get one shot at a time. I got to throw the bolt and load the next round. I got to.
And to me, that sounds like
one
hunting.
rifle has a 10-round clip. My other rifle has a 5-round clip.
Yeah, but that sounds like hunting.
That is hunting. And I was up at the farm yesterday. So we were setting stands. And reworking some of our areas because there's
Yeah,
seasons coming
I'm
up.
not opposed. I would never
So
go hunting.
it's a different deal.
But
hang on one second as we get into things. I think the NRA, and I'm an NRA member and a strong supporter of the NRA, that we do have to look at some of these things where I can't say that the NRA would look at a bump stock, and maybe they do. I think they're going to reevaluate themselves a little bit. Why do we need that many rounds? I will say that. I think we do have to have, but as far as the Congress wanting to enact new gun laws, this enforce our gun laws that we have now. And if you go look at things, the gun laws that we have now are ton. Politicians love to pass a new gun law. They love to pass a new gun law. But a lot of the courts don't enforce the existing gun laws that we have because it leads to incarceration.
I think they do idiotic things. For example, again, I would say the bump stock being a classic example of, well, yes, he violated the law by applying it, but we never made the bump stock illegal in the first place, which is just stupid. I mean, that's just dumb. So, I mean, there's just so many things out there that are just hypocritical, and I think it's like so many other hot-button issues where the NRA being a classic example, so are, you know, pro-choice, pro-life, whatever you want to say. You give an inch and you feel like you're starting to gradually lose the fight. And so you go to these crazy extremes defending stuff that nobody else even agrees with, even your own members.
They're very afraid
just
to give an
not
inch.
lose an inch.
They're afraid to give an inch.
It's insane to me.
And the reason being is because they do feel like if they give that inch, they're going to give up too much.
Yeah, nobody's coming to take anybody's guns. Nobody's coming. You know, it's
Not
just
in
so dumb.
America.
So this is a bump stop? Is that just...
I would have no idea.
It's the handle thing that
I
you
would
can
never.
apply to.
I would never buy.
That's it.
I would never buy. I would never even dream of buying one. Why would I want one?
Well, that was like right.
In theory,
I had a friend of
because
mine
automatic
that had an
weapons,
Uzi that
automatic weapons are illegal.
right.
But-
basically every time you pulled the trigger, there was 2 shots.
Right. So, but with
Damn
bump stop, now you turn a semi-automatic into a fully automatic.
Not necessarily.
Not fully.
In
but
theory, they were allowed to be legal because it gave you the feeling of an automatic rifle, but you weren't ever supposed to make it an automatic rifle. But every time you put one on, that's the first thing they do is just start jacking with it to make it an automatic rifle.
I say, so you can't hold the trigger and it just sprays. But
you can hear how fast it was spraying.
Yeah, but even if you just keep squeezing the trigger, it's gonna act like an automatic rifle.
And I think technically this is right. It doesn't just make the recoil so much faster that it basically turns it into an automatic.
And you're taught in the military, and I mean, even if you haven't been in the military, you're taught in the military, you shoot to kill. You don't shoot to wound. I mean, you don't hunt to wound. You don't want to just shoot a deer in the leg and just watch him get him. You shoot to kill. Mm-hmm. So if you're buying these automatic rifles and these assault rifles, you're buying it with the intent to use it one day to kill something or someone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to make it automatic, you're trying to kill a lot of someone.
Yes.
Well, in hunting, you do.
Not because somebody broke into your cutlass.
But there are people.
We don't want to wound an animal.
No, that's horrible.
We want to drop that animal in its place and go process it.
So if somebody breaks into your house, what do you grab?
I'm not going to grab an AR-15. I'm going to grab my pistol.
Yeah, you got your pistol.
Because it's probably close to you, isn't it?
Yeah,
you shoot to kill.
If you extra old school,
shoot to kill.
You're still going.
If you extra old school,
my pistol. I'm not carrying my pistol.
You don't shoot
with a range load in it.
If you extra old school, you grab a shotgun.
Like if somebody breaks into your home and they're like running away from you and you shoot them, you can still go to prison.
No, you cannot. And I will tell you
if they're in your home.
No,
not necessarily.
Not true. And I'll tell you this is
there's still
Kansas
problems
State law, and this is a very personal story that happened to a friend of mine in high school.
We don't associate with personal stuff here.
It's only because it became state law. So that's the only reason I'm even bringing it up. It's not just because I have some weird personal anecdote. I had a buddy of mine who was 16 years old, out with his friends, and they started breaking into cars looking for money and stupid shit that they can sell. And they were actually running away because they saw the lights in the house come on, and they were leaving. They never went in the house, never did anything. They were running the hell out of there. And the guy shot him through his window, hit him in the back of the head when he was on the street at this point, and the Kansas State Supreme Court upheld him being acquitted.
Wow.
So he walked, and in fact his brother owns a bunch of property in downtown, and we started talking about it one day.
Oh, wow.
But that became the Kansas State statute that you could, and it's the same in Texas. If somebody's on your property, because there was a case in Texas where a guy shot somebody on his neighbor's lawn, and his neighbor was out of town, and he shot the guy on his neighbor's lawn, thinking they were breaking in the house, and he was acquitted. So you can use a gun to defend your property.
Texas has weird laws anyway, because they have stand your ground laws that we don't have.
Texas, Florida.
I mean, there's a lot of states that do, but it's absolutely a misnomer that they have to be coming in your house. In the gun training, they always told you, hey, get in the safest spot in your house. You don't want any part of this bullshit. But that's mainly for your own safety. To be honest, that has nothing to do with the law. So,
but you still.
It's harder to say I was fearing for my life and when they're running away from you.
You can still face civic suits, and that's the problem. If you're a concealed carry holder, you got to be very careful, because even though you shoot somebody, believe me, you're going to get tied up in lawsuits left and right.
Sure.
Period. I mean,
because even if you're acquitted on criminal, you have civil.
If you're going to pull that out and shoot the gun, you got problems. The first thing they teach you is when you call 911, you constantly say, I was in fear for my life. I was in fear for my life. This person was in my house. I was in fear for my life.
So that's different.
But even if you shoot them in the back on the way out the door,
they're teaching you
were just breaking into your car, and then they were running away. It's very hard to make the argument. And yes, I agree. You're supposed to say I'm afraid for my life. It's just what constitutes a rational fear. What constitutes a rational fear for your life when you haven't called 911, or even if you have called 911? What constitutes a rational fear?
Well,
if they're breaking into your car or they're just on your property, to me, that's not a rational fear at that point. If somebody starts fucking with your door and trying to come in or breaks a window or does anything like that, that's a pretty rational fear.
Yes. Then this. I ran into the situation when I had thieves breaking into my truck in my driveway, and I had my 20 gauge. So what did I do? I'm not going to go out and shoot one of those guys. I know I'm in the world of shit if I do that.
So I'm here.
I took my 20 gauge and I leveled it off at the base of my oak tree, which still has the scar on it in my old house, and I fired my gun. And they hauled.
Sure.
And I was really tempted to take the tire out on the car that was sitting there.
I'll tell you.
I knew that even if I shot at the car,
sure,
I still have a world of shit on me.
This is
That could
a
be
problem.
attempted murder, couldn't it?
Huh?
In theory,
it could be.
It could be probably attempted manslaughter at that point because there was no pre-planning. But the trick, and again, I think things spiral out of control very quickly. I had kids try to break into my car. They ran off. Some neighbor called the cops. They came running through my backyard and tried to break in through my garage into my house. At that point, I did pull out the gun and put it to his head and said, "Get the fuck out of here." You know, and they took off and were arrested in my backyard. But that's how quick, these were just kids stealing shit out of cars for drug money. That was all they were doing, was looking for loose change or shit they can sell. And it spirals out of control very quickly, especially when you're talking 17 and 18-year-old dipshit kids who are already probably higher than a fucking kite, just jacking around at 3 in the morning. And I'm 38 or whatever I was at the time. I'm not jacking around at 3 in the morning. So don't come near my fucking house. You know? But that's how it happens. I mean,
you
it
really
just
don't
spirals.
want to kill a person unless you are legitimately in fear for your life. So if they bust into your garage and they're just trying to stay the hell out of the way,
No, they tried to get into my
you
house.
want to scare them off, just like I did. I didn't want to kill any of these guys.
I'm with you.
Actually, I kind of did
But when
because
they're
they were
shaking
stealing my
back door
freaking tools.
trying to get in,
But I did.
break it.
But I did want to put the fear of God in them, you know.
But I will say this, and it's exactly what Adrian said earlier. You have the gun to use it for the ultimate moment, and if you are faced with it and you have to pull it, and you legitimately
And you have to be willing to pull
you
it.
have to be willing to put them down at
And
that
that's a
point.
tough,
and that's
tough
a hard
thing to
thing
do.
to do. Except for if you're crazy and you have 47 assault rifles and a
Let's not forget though that most people are going to be like this. They have to. If you're going to shoot somebody in your house, you've got to be really fearful for your life, and you've got to be able to pull the trigger.
So that's reasonable protection to me. What's unreasonable is the sale of these assault rifles and
these
things where you
NRA
can do
conventions.
mass slaughter people.
For no reason at all.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Makes no
It's
sense.
With
a
no
tough
intent,
thing that
no
the NRA is
background
going to
checks.
have to deal with, and they're going to have an honest conversation about it. They will.
And you considered saying if you're a millionaire with all this money and all this access, so now I can go as a millionaire to an NRA convention, buy all these crazy weapons, and walk.
These were all high-end weapons too.
These were not cheap guns.
Yeah,
No.
very
These were
expensive.
the high-end weapons.
Spend all this money, and I'm looked at as a sane person.
Yeah.
Little limit.
And that, you know, and that right there, I think is the problem. At a certain point over the course of the year, you know, those invoices start stacking up.
Thank you.
Yep.
And you're still considered sane.
Well-
They like, we noticed you've already bought 12 assault rifles.
Did you know
Did
this
you need
fact?
the 13th?
Did you know this fact? This is a fact too. Here's a failure on our government's part. He bought enough guns in 1 year that it puts a flag up, a red flag up to the ATF and the FBI,
And no one checks it.
and they didn't check it.
Right,
Here's
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Nobody checked him.
Right.
He should have been checked out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But we're so caught up in this fight for our arms, which was part of the Constitution,
Yeah.
when they were, making muskets, which took
That's the most stunning.
forever
To me, that's the most
forever
stunning.
shooting.
Let me ask you this.
There was a failure there, a big failure.
Wait, okay. What's the question?
How T.I. end up with those grenades and shit? Can you buy that?
No, you can. That was part of why T.I. went to prison, because everything he had was illegal firearms.
You can
For
buy
felons.
anything
Yeah,
in
for
America,
felons,
but
especially.
It's for felons especially. right?
ATF catches you with that, you're going away.
Yeah.
Why did you?
Surprised he got out.
But you can buy.
Oh yeah, no,
you can
he had
Surprised he got out.
He had automatic machine guns. He had grenades. He had Uzis.
Well, let's
He had
think
all
about
kind of
this.
stuff
We
that
have-
he wasn't supposed to have.
We have arms dealers
Yeah.
that sell all over the world. I mean, they supply every guerrilla group they can find, but they don't care who they. You can buy from them if you make the right connections, and you got the money. You can buy
War dogs.
There's a guy here in Kansas City. I could have bought all kinds of guns from here recently at a discount price. Legit stuff. Legit Smith Wesson.
I'll tell you one thing I do think would be an interesting way to flip the script on some of this. I always wonder, yes, as a crazy old white guy with a shit ton of money, what if it was a poor black dude just out of the military who somehow ended up with all these guns in a hotel suite in Vegas? What's the story then? Because I think that flips the script 1,000%. There's people who are convinced, I guarantee you people would be convinced he's tied to a Muslim group and this is all nuts and anti-American.
Or he's part of the, as they like to say, part of the new Black Panther Party or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it would have been crazy.
The dude had all this shit in the room.
Have you heard of this?
That blows my mind too.
That they've been talking about?
What is it?
It's some kind of spin-off of the Red Cross. It's called the Black Cross. Apparently they've been going down to the hurricanes and providing aid and relief and so on.
They're specifically to African Americans.
Specifically to African American communities. Because
I work with a girl.
Okay, so I gotta end this segment.
You got the show?
I got it. Yes. I got to end the segment because I got to end the show. But yes, there are groups that have been going specifically to African American communities, specifically to Hispanic communities, specifically to Asian communities. Especially because in the areas that flooded so bad, a lot of those were poor and a lot of those were poor and ethnic. So they wanted to make sure that supplies got to those people. So there were definitely a lot of...
The Red Cross was doing a good job, or was it because they just wanted to do more?
Well, both.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole nother,
The Red Cross was a fairly... universal.
Yeah, well, I don't think it had anything to do with the Red Cross per se, as it did is, a lot of people just have mistrusted the government, so they just want to make sure that their communities are getting served,
especially after Katrina.
Yes, and that's the problem. But on that, I got to end this segment, and we'll be right back. Hey, you having a good time? Let me introduce you to a couple of my media brothers. First, www.americathemixtape.com, a cipher on American politics, society, and culture. And where'd I get that mixtape? Of course, www.cornerbodega.us, purveyors of urban culture. Come on, let's get back to the party. And we are back, and before we get out of here, we're going to talk about today's sugar honey iced tea. And for those out there that don't know, these are things that I or a member of the group have found that are really cool, aka the shit. We've got two from the group this time. Normally, I am brainstorming and coming up with what I think is the shit. And then people will go, I had one. But today, we actually have two from the group, things that they figured were the sugar honey iced tea. And we're going to share those with you today.
Real quick, I got a little bit on sugar honey iced tea.
Okay.
I was at a benefit Saturday night for my friend Precious that worked with my wife at the bank. She was a wonderful woman. And she is now the executive director of Community Link.
Okay.
Community Link gets homeless people into homes.
Okay.
We generated $600,000.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's awesome. I was proud to give $500.
That's awesome.
I gave about $600 by the time I signed an auction for that.
On a light note for me,
that's good stuff.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. My wife and I splurged on a purple bed. And I would have to say that it's very good.
Mattress or something?
Yeah.
It's Columbus Day, it's mattress sale.
Yeah. Man, it's the purple bed, man. It's like, man, I can't even put it in there.
Okay.
I definitely want to bring that up.
You seem pretty excited to go home.
I was leery, man. But I was like, damn, slept on it. I want to get up.
Amazing. All
right.
Best part of new mattress is trying it out.
And we're going to end today on the note that I end every podcast on, and that is with the toast that started it all for me, and that is to good times with good people.